to comfort the man and his wife, we volunteered to take the dog with us, because he was going to go to a kennel if that, you know what I mean? The man's all shaken up. The dog was shooken up. So our captain said, well, I'll take the dog home, and you can give you my phone number, and then you can come pick up the dog.
So thank the Lord for Warren Crandall. He had a leash for her, and I'm going to the ambulance, and I look back and I saw Crandall walking Charlie up to the highway with a leash.
Fearing the governor, CHP officials refused to comment. But local law enforcement and fire officials fear for a loss of life. Sheriff's Captain Toby Tyler.
Well, my concern is the citizens who live in my area and the citizens who are traveling through my area. And the bottom line is going to cost a tremendous amount of money that the local community will have to replace that labor with, but it's also going to cost human lives.
Captain Tyler responded to published reports that the governor traded away the private prisons and gave the guards a 34% pay hike in return for $251,000 in campaign contributions.
Well, I don't know all the facts. I've read some things in the paper, but I certainly do not think it's a wise thing to place people's lives at risk if, in fact, the primary motivation is a political payback. That's a rather selfish and greedy thing to do.
What's going to happen if Baker CCF closes June 14th?
We may not need ambulances, either air ambulances or ground ambulances. It may be that we'll need more hearses, because I think there'll be a lot more people who die as a result of not receiving emergency medical treatment in a timely fashion.
Another community correctional facility, the Leo Chesney Center, is targeted by the Guards Union for closure June 14th. This small, widely acclaimed minimum security women's prison is 10 miles north of Yuba City. In a letter last August, the Department of Corrections praised the Leo Chesney Center, saying the inmates were treated with fundamental fairness and the facility is a clean, orderly, well-managed facility with excellent leadership. Counselor Sharon Echevarria has worked at Leo Chesney for over 5 years.
We offer Yuba College courses here so that they can earn college units while programming and while going to school.
Governor Davis favors punishment over rehabilitation, but the success of Leo Chesney is based on rehabilitation.
Because this facility takes some pride in rehabilitation, we want the inmates to start realizing that they are human beings and that they should love themselves and feel good about themselves. And part of that is to have them learn how to work. Some of the inmates that have come here have never held a paid job. Never. And they're like 45 years old. And this is pride for them to actually learn some skills, to find out it's not that hard to get up at 7 o'clock in the morning and actually work 8 hours a day. And they're rewarded for that by their day for day. But what it does for them mentally and psychologically is absolutely unbelievable. To be told, wow, this place looks great, you're doing a great job, or this cake is delicious. They've never heard those words before because they've never done anything productive, and maybe the few times that they've had, nobody has rewarded them even with a kind word. Where here they are told they are worthwhile, needed, useful, and appreciated for every effort that they make. They're treated with respect, and in return they treat us with respect.
My name is Jim Denny. I'm the sheriff of Sutter County. I've lived in this community for about 40 years. In the state prison systems, the county correctional facilities, basically we warehouse people. There's no other way of putting that term, but we warehouse people until they've served their time to put them back on straight. We don't teach them skills that will help to turn them away from what they're doing when they got into the prison system in the first place. The Chesney Center does take that. That's their number one priority, is to change their way of life, change them into productive citizens, and to teach them the skills they need to succeed on the outside. That's the big difference, and that's why this facility is so important.
Inmate Ellen Eichhorn is confident Chesney has given her the skills to change her life.
If I had to come here the first time I went to prison, I'd have never went back to prison again. I'm looking forward to my future. I'm just so excited to get started living instead of just going back to the same old thing I've always done.
These minimum security inmates can't make it at a state-run prison like Chowchilla.
I would hate to see them leave this place because a lot of these women who's never been to prison don't know how tragic prison can be. Because in those big prisons, believe me, I've been there. These people will not survive.
Loretti Apombo is afraid to go back to the state-run Chowchilla Women's Prison.
We would go back to Chowchilla and be re-endorsed somewhere else. We would be put on a yard with convicted murderers, rapists, because there is no segregation in the women's prisons. And there should be. We're a level 1. We're a low maintenance prison. We don't belong in there with high maintenance. And it would be devastating. To me, like I said, I would be very hurt. I would be very scared. I don't want to be with people that I'm afraid to turn my back on. Here I'm not.
Former inmate Jackie Schaefer says the women inmates should be afraid to go back to Chowchilla.
The Department of Corrections, CDC, there are some good officers there. There are some really bad officers there. When I first went into the Department of Corrections, I was young. And when you first go in, you're locked down unless you want to do sex shows for the officers, and then you can get out. And if you want extra privileges, you can, they call it cleaning the officers' bathrooms, go in and perform sexual favors for them. And my last trip, my father had a massive stroke, and my sister died of leukemia. And since I was so much older, I was asked to have sex with other inmates so they could watch, to make a phone call because I wasn't working. And it's terrible. All women are housed together. It doesn't matter what level you are. You're housed level 1s, white collar crime, low security crimes are housed with the lifers, and the lifers rule. They're crazy. They have nothing to lose, and they control the prisons.
Jackie Schaefer is one of Leo Chesney's success stories. She's been out of prison for 5 years.
When I got here, I really believed that I was going to spend the rest of my life being incarcerated, because that's what everybody told me, that I was institutionalized and I would spend my life there. This has been the best 5 years of my life.
The Department of Corrections has one of the highest recidivism rates in the nation. Its failures fuel a revolving door of crime, according to the state's Blue Ribbon Little Hoover Commission.
If the women at the Leo Chesney Center are sent back to the Department of Corrections, I think the things that they gained here will be beaten back out of them emotionally, probably physically also. And they're going to go out just worse than they came in, and it's going to destroy them a little more each time they return back to CDC. It's going to destroy their families, and their children are probably going to grow up in the Department of Corrections also. And it's a terrible thing. It's going to be an ongoing life thing. And it can stop here. It stopped here with my family, and it can stop here for all the women here and their families.
Ron Murray is Chief of Security at Leo Chesney.
Nobody here is getting rich, I'll tell you that right now. Nobody here is overpaid. The average officer, when they come to work here, makes $9 an hour. But I'm not doing it for the money either. I don't need to. That's not my goal, that's not my purpose. I've been a public servant all my life for 30 years. These individuals is what it's about. I want to live in a community that cares. Over 200 volunteers come here to work and share with these individuals for nothing. Not a dime. And that's caring.